Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente, Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer Neil.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey! Radical!
Are ya?
Not really.
Alright, cool.
And tonight we're doing Far Liath weather. Or Far Liath weather?
Did anyone look up the pronunciation?
No.
Cool. Let's move on.
Yeah. So this is another Curtis Phil story by Pratt99. You can check it out on creepypasta.wiki. I advise you to do so if you want to not get spoiled before we do the our whole shtick. Boom, you can do it. And we're going to start now. So the narration, or the rundown. Welsh is back. Detective Welsh. Werewolf Cop.
Oh, yes, Wolf Coppin.
Yes. Wolfman Cop is back. And it's basically kind of starting off where the other one ended, where he's like marching through he's going through the woods to the other location, or the other, like that shed or where that bunker
Where
they
Bear
found.
told him not to go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like all fog and shroud, and like it reminds him of stories of the Grey Man or the Far Liath that his grandfather told him. And he was told that he'd be fine because he's one of the true people, not like human, like not full human. And that's what the Grey Man goes after. But it's still like atmospheric and like kind of creeping him out. And then he feels like he's like being watched, and then suddenly gets like pooed on by a seagull.
He feels a sticky substance hit the back of his head, and then he wipes it off to see it's a white sticky substance.
Yeah.
And then he
Realizes that it's
guano.
yeah, which is
Collect the whole set.
okay.
Guano balls.
Is that the whole set? The whole set of guano balls.
Gets pooed on with guano.
Okay, is that a reference to something that I don't know?
Ace Ventura Pentatech, or When Nature Calls, the second one.
Oh wow, it's been a while since I've seen
Yeah.
it.
Where they make the balls out of guano.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, and then that's when a bunch of other police show up, and like it's like, well, is that you? It's like, yeah. And then it turns out that it's like an elf and a pixie and some other
Half elves.
Yeah, half elf. Sorry, yes. And they're running, like they're walking back to the bunker area, and they're explaining to Welsh like what's down there is like not like even worse than what Bear thought it was, because he didn't see the other room or something.
Yes.
And then they start talking about like they basically start like having in-world like lore talk, like chit chat about like the consequences of what's going on with this, like why this bunker's there and why there's like hundreds of dead people down there.
Mm-hmm.
And
like why would this one faction do it? But the way that they did it couldn't have been them, so it had to been someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Like it might be the Fae folk because they were pissed off about Christians, like tamping on their territory. It's like no, it wouldn't be them. And like just all that. Like we get a bunch of like kind of in-setting like information about like the background of what's going on. And then he gets attacked by a meddlesome Fae creature, or by this.
That's before he even got to that.
Yeah. They're talking, and he's just like swatting this thing away. It's this wandering Titanian creeper, I believe is what it's called. Mm-hmm. I think it's like some kind of plant, or is like it's like a vine-like creature.
I have notes on it.
So it's like a vine-like creature that, and he's just like, oh god, just gets grabbed by it, and then they spend some time to take it off, and then they realize it's just like they're explained that it's out there because elven folk who migrate to the real world or to this universe bring them as like a security kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like a barbed wire fence situation,
mm-hmm. or like a guard dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then they reach the bunker, and it's got like yellow tape, like crime tape, and like people in suits that weren't there before, and they're like, well, it looks like this has gone on like a higher, some higher ups have shown up and stuff like that. And then we cut to Mark, back to Mark across town, reading that, or like scrounging for the letters that were under his bed, or under his pillow. Yes. Oh, hi, Mark. And he continues reading the letters that he finds under his bed from Constance from the previous story.
Yeah, and he's currently in his brother's room because he got migrated there because of the event with the telephone pole.
Yeah, and the live
previously.
wire and stuff like that. So he's down there reading, and it's basically explaining further that like Constance wasn't the only one investigating the Chalmers. That apparently the prissy clique, that used to bully her, were also investigating it, and they investigated poorly because a bunch of them got like cursed or hexed or something, and so. But now, like, she has a bunch of people that believe her, like there's weird shit like that going on. Mm. Also, her parents, as well as like the entire community of Jehovah's Witness in the town, have just vanished. Or vanished up to like a year prior.
Yeah.
So like
previously.
they were, so like she was moving in with an adopted like elf family known as the Teslas. Okay, it's a Curtisville story. Sure, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
And would you like to? Can you help me a little bit? I can't.
No.
Oh, okay.
So essentially, family went away.
Yeah.
Went to move in with the elves, and then finds out about the missing people, and then there's this the other group of like cliquey people that normally bully her, but now believe her, and they said they left her a note in her locker saying go to the old storage maintenance locker thing, and then she assumed that when she got there that they would just like give her shit.
But they were actually on her side.
Yeah.
And yeah, then what happens after that? Like after we get them some information dump about like the...
Yeah, okay, so they believe her and they essentially figured to stop what's happened. They pretty much have to summon Cthulhu in a way.
Yeah, they have to summon they have to summon some kind of like big bad to deal with the Chalmers.
Yeah, and then so it takes a few days for it to actually click in.
Yeah.
And then on the third day, they make an agreement with the creature that the last one to leave the room is the one whose body you'll inhabit.
Yeah.
And of course, Constance, she
actually got duped. It was a double Hamlet where they were double duped. She was double duped because she thought she was going in there to get duped and like blamed by them. And then she wasn't, and they actually believed her, but they're still assholes, so they drugged her.
Yes.
So that she was slower to get away from the table.
Mm-hmm. So then that's where it's told that she hasn't been in control of her body for
a year.
An entire year.
Yeah.
Including all the times that she hung out with Mark.
And the letter this is after... Sorry, yeah. That was actually explained... Okay. So we get up to a point where
Mark falls asleep
and dreams of basically dream projects, like astral projects, but like through a dream to the bunker.
Yes,
and walks into the bunker and like doesn't see the dead people and some of that, but sees all the people investigating the dead people.
Yeah,
and he's like, why is there all these people like look so sad, like sad and like dark and some of that? Like it's just like a '60s vintage bunker. And then he goes to the vending machines that are just like. Just nice and shiny and stuff of that, and like there's a bunch of people investigating it. And he goes over to it, and it's the vending machines are, I guess they're like the candy vending machines because there's actually because otherwise how does he see like what's inside of them?
I guess.
Yeah,
it's not described.
It really needed to like be mentioned that it was either like what.
Well, even pop ones can have the see-through.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but like when I thought of vending machine, for some reason I just immediately thought of the one that has like a chassis on the side, on the front, and not like a glass pane that you can see what you're getting.
Like a pop machine generally doesn't show you what's in it because it's a Pepsi machine.
Yeah.
It's all Pepsi.
Exactly.
Whereas
but, I mean, yeah, and you know what? Like the way they do describe it, it could be taken. It's could be taken more to be
glass front.
The glass front. So, anyways, inside is like this like liquid and like all these little like. At first, he thinks that they're like chickadee like little like
Baby
bird
chickens.
fetuses and so that. Yeah, little baby chickens and so that. But then, as the dream starts dissipating because he's looking hard enough, it starts becoming like simian, like human-like fetuses that are just in this goop mix. And like, there's an elf agent there that is going to hurl, and then she does, and then. That's when I believe Mark just kind of wakes up after that event, and
He goes for the note and it's not there.
yeah, the notes aren't there, but there's another note. There's like a scrawled, like essay on a scrap of paper, detailing that the letter and photos that I guess were in the envelope as well were
That he didn't see yet.
Yeah, that he hadn't seen yet.
Yeah.
And all that stuff was all not Constance. It was Constance's body that had written that, and so that under the possession of the Gray Man. Because then we find out that she got suckered into having her body possessed by the Gray Man to do all this stuff. And not only did they take up the Gray Man with her body, kill the Chalmers, they also wiped out. It also wiped out the earthly population of Jehovah's Witness.
I don't know if that's said.
It is explained earlier that people were whole swaths of people have been disappearing across the globe.
Yeah, but is it because of that?
And then it explains that that's what it was doing in that year. It was wiping out the witness.
Okay.
And the Teslas knew about this, what was going on, and they were trying to help Constance's spirit in the best way they could, and trying to stop the body. But eventually, the body, I guess, offed itself, or fell into, or maybe it was doing something, and then it fell into the live wire, and then kicked the body, basically.
It's not going to accidentally fall on top of a...
So it might have done it on purpose, then.
From the sounds of it, what I gathered is whoever they are, got together to defeat the creature that was taking control of her body.
Okay.
And essentially killing Constance's body, but also getting rid of the creature.
Yeah. So now Constance is writing. Had only enough power, enough ability to write this letter to Mark and not say it to him, and basically bids him farewell and to goodbye. Goodbye. I'm going out to a new plane of existence. Goodbye. Yeah. And that's basically how the story ends. Is just Mark reads the final words from his friend, who apparently was not his friend for a year. Yeah,
and they immediately rolled sand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So that was Far Life Weather. I apologize to the author and anybody who listened to that. It was pretty hack and slash rundown. I swear
There's
to
a
God.
lot of words.
A lot was happening in the story.
Yes.
So again, go check it out on creepypasta.wiki if you want a full details of it. And then we'll go into our usual segment. Everyone expects the Grand Inquisitions at this point. Basically start from the beginning, as I should. I would hope. The long fingers of fog seemed to have an oily consistence as it reached out and caressed his face. So it's supposed to be consistency.
Sorry, what was it?
So, the long fingers of fog seemed to have an oily consistency as it reached out and caressed his face.
Yes.
And then the next one I have... However, this former god showed no sign of fading away, and for matters only known to him, decided to emigrate to the States, where he took on a modern-day form that now had a big following among the coastal towns and villages of Northern California, Oregon, and parts of Canada, who also went by names of the Grey Lurker, Grimmin, or the Grey Gentleman. So, run-on sentence.
That's an entire sentence?
Yeah. There are commas, but that's about it.
Alright.
But a nice use of however at the start. Too bad the next sentence immediately has a but at the beginning.
Front butts now!
Yep. Yeah, so I was just I read that. It's like, okay, that needs at least a period somewhere in there. And then the next one I have, a lot of swearing and struggling ensured. It's actually supposed to be ensued.
Insured is what it said?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, I am ensuring.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next one is they were now plotting the way through the nightmarish tangle of unpruned willow branches and neglected vegetation. It's actually supposed to be they were now plotting their way through the nightmarish tangle of blah 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 blah. The next one, you've got to freaking kidding me, man. So, just a simple one. Just it's missing a word. You've got to be freaking kidding me, man. Yes, gamer. You seem conflicted. It's how the character talks. All right, so
dialogue.
So we have a caveman speech.
Yes.
He's just so flustered. He's like, "You do like,
Yeah.
like, you got to kidding me, man."
Beg your pardon? You heard me. I did, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I do want to make that T-shirt more and more. Every episode, I want more and more to have a T-shirt where it's like, it's how the character would talk, it's how the character would write, it's how the character would think.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next one I have, something new has come up. So it's just remove that last has. So it says something new has apparently come up. And the next one, I was in a particularly festive mood that day because my totally troll horridus parents, as well as the entire adult population of the Kingdom Hall community, had up and vanished like a fart in the wind. So maybe she like the slang that she's going for is like troll horrendous. Because I looked up horridus, which because in the story it's horridus with an O-U-S at the end, but horridus with just a U at the end is actually a word, but it's a superhero and also like I guess a terminology for a horned lizard.
Okay, so her parents are mixed breed troll and horned lizard.
Maybe. Well, in that case, then the word's still
in
wrong.
this world, I wouldn't be surprised.
You're not wrong. That's kind of one of the things I love about it. But yeah, still, regardless, then it's still spelled wrong because horridus is spelled with just a U-S, not an O-U-S
Okay.
at the end. And then the next one I have, somehow my diary ended up in Clarissa's clutches. And how I had no idea but to come clean about my... Oh, fuck. Okay. See, okay, this is the problem with this one. Okay. Somehow my diary ended up in Clarissa's clutches, and how I had no idea... and how I had no choice but to come clean about my secret investigation. I think the how in that sentence is supposed to be a now. Yeah. And now, because originally I was like, and how I have no idea, but no, it doesn't say that. It's how I had no, So yeah, it's supposed to be, and now I had no choice but to clean up, but to come clean about my secret investigation. Mm-hmm. And then the next one, you probably already saw it, your dream with those things squirming around in those machines. So it's supposed to have, you probably already saw it in your dream with those things squirming around in those machines.
Yes, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Just missing. A lot of these ones are just missing like a single word that like maybe because the writer was writing too fast and they just like skipped over a word. Mm-hmm. Easily fixed with a round of vending. Old hatred like that can spread sometimes, burning like coal fires underground for decades, until they suddenly erupt like a volcano. Weird. It's weird because, like, I had to read this again. Old hatred like that can spread sometimes, burning like coal fires underground for decades, until they suddenly erupt like volcanoes. Sorry, I keep adding a and making things singular when they're plural in this sentence. So like a coal fire, but it's actually like coal fires underground, or erupt like a volcano, but it's actually erupt like volcanoes.
Why does it have to be plural?
It doesn't. That's how it is in the story, though. And but like as I'm reading it, I keep making it like burning like a coal fire underground, or burning like a volcano. But
Okay, but what's the problem with it?
the problem actually is it needs a comma. So this sentence actually has two things that I found that were wrong with it. The first one is there needs to be a comma between spread and sometimes. So it's old hatred like that can spread, sometimes burning like coal fires.
But it could spread sometimes. It could spread sometimes. Like, it could work either way.
Yeah, but it can. But I just feel like a comma would be better in that situation.
No, but I'm saying, like, the comma could be on either side of the sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Burn, yeah. In your
It can
right.
burn sometimes.
Burning like... Yeah, it could spread sometimes. Burning like... Yeah, I recommend... Yeah,
Either way it works.
Yeah, but
Either way,
it
comma's good.
does need a comma.
Yes.
Also, erupt is spelled wrong. Erupt has one too many R's. It has two R's in it, and only needs one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my last grammar inquisition. You might get your wish... you'll might get your wish granted, but you end up paying big time. So it just needs to be at the beginning, just you might get your wish granted, not you'll, as in, like, you will get your... You will might get your wish granted.
Or just remove might. You'll get your wish granted, but...
Yeah, exactly.
Either way it works.
Yeah, exactly.
But something has to change.
Something has to be removed.
Yeah.
So, and that's my grammar inquisitions. Mikey, how many butts and ands?
There's a few. You already touched on one.
I did. You did. You son of a...
How dare you take my thunder.
You swore you never would.
Alright. So... I'll start with a word.
That's
start
good.
with a word?
Yes.
I would hope you'd start with a word. That's how
Well,
sentences are built.
There's a word that I had to look up because I couldn't remember what it meant.
Okay.
And the word is slicker.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's not from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's from a multi-dimensional cosmic horror. Yeah.
That's fair.
You're actually from Curtisville.
Spoilers. That's in the next one.
Yeah.
So the line is grimacing. He pulled the hood of his slicker further over his hairy ears while moisture dripped from his long aquiline
nose.
nose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that is, right? Did you also look up Aquilin?
Yes.
Yeah. It's actually something that it's actually comes from a Roman word, from the Roman Latin word of aquilin, because Romans actually really liked that type of nose. Like they kind of like strived for having that kind of a nose.
Mm-hmm.
For those at home, it's like a bird-shaped nose.
Yeah, it's basically a hooked nose.
Yeah.
Like they want like a hawkish appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the hairy ears reminded me that this guy's a werewolf.
Yeah, I was
course.
straight up like I did actually look up Aquilin earlier, like after I read
You
it.
thought it'd be like a snout? That's
Like
what I
I said,
thought.
long Aquilin nose. I was like, so,
It's like a wolf nose
is that
thing.
something? Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay, no, it's a hawkish nose. Okay, still like it's like
No, he's the wolf man.
yeah, he's Wolfman, so it makes sense.
Yeah. He's not a werewolf. He's the wolf
I
man.
wonder if he is like actually like fully hairy now.
In my eyes, he is.
Also, I was looking through the comments of this one, and actually the last ones, because I was trying to find some information about the story. Apparently, the M.M. Pratt has suggested that maybe Bear is a werebear.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Looking up to his namesake.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, continue.
Alright. So, in that sentence, slicker means raincoat.
Yeah. Duh. I'm sorry. That was mean.
Yeah, I do that all the time. We know it's in jest, right? Oh, I'm sorry.
But yeah.
Alright, and then we have a...
We've just lost like half our audience because of that.
I don't know how.
And then I have another front butt here.
Mm.
Aware, one of the true people, and not one of those whom's who worship and follow the bureaucratic control god of endless torment and false hopes.
Oh God, I forgot about that sentence.
I think that's Humies.
Yeah, humies. Yeah, because
As in a reference to
Humans.
what non-humans call humans. They're
Yeah.
Humies,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. It's actually in folklore and like in like fairy folklore, like the Fae folk and the Shay, or as they or some. So okay, there's a word in there that if any of you guys, I'm not sure if either of you guys found it and like, what the fuck is this? It's Sidhe, or like it's spelled Sidhe.
Yes.
It's actually pronounced Shay because it's Gaelic. It's actually a term for the fairy folk.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in fairy folk culture, the true people is actually what they are sometimes called.
Okay.
Yeah. And then humies is just
Why they just call them humans?
it's slang. Just like it's
I
like a
guess,
slang.
yeah.
It's how the character talk.
It's how the race talks.
Exactly. It's how the race slangs.
Another line, the shirt.
Jesus. Anyway, sorry. Like, you continue.
But young Welsh wasn't so sure, having heard enough gruesome grey man stories to acquire a persistent fear of thick grey mist and silvery opaque sunglasses. So it's the front butt
Yeah.
that
You
I
got
finally got to after I said the first sentence.
Sorry. Sorry. Yep. I like to interrupt. I'm sorry.
That's what we do.
Alright, this next one, I feel like there's an extra shuffle. So,
Really?
yeah.
Extra show.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, I can take it or leave it, honestly.
Can I hear it first?
Yeah. Let him hear it. Let the audience and gamer hear it.
Yeah.
He thought he heard the slow shuffle of footsteps.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, it's shuffle, and then there's a comma, shuffle of footsteps.
Yeah.
But why is it there?
So it basically like not enunciation, like just kind of like heard a shuffle, the shuffle of move,
The tho's not there.
Yeah.
or shuffle of move. I think
I'll say this:
could be
if there was a the or an in front of the second
Perhaps.
shuffle, it would be better.
yes,
But still,
honestly, I could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's using shuffle to describe a sound, and then shuffle to describe an action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So heard a shuffle, and then they should be different words.
Yeah. Well, if you just get rid of the one, then it becomes, he thought he heard the slow shuffle of footsteps.
yeah.
Like,
Which no one could where no one could complain about that. That's wrong with that.
yeah. And I mean, if you're specifying, and he heard a slow shuffle, and that's like, the shuffle of a deck. Be like, oh my god.
My God, a street magician's about to get him. Again, in this universe, that might be deadly. It might be like
It
gambling.
might actually be, yeah. It's like a Kung Fu Hustle situation.
Yeah,
Just like, it's like, yeah, he's just throwing the cards.
just gambit style.
yeah. Just like
And
straight
one of me.
through. Yeah.
Magic getting flown around everywhere.
Yeah. Some guy walks in with like a suitcase and it opens up. There's like 10 nunchucks. He throws them in the air. He's like, knocking all the cards out of the way as he's flying towards him.
Exactly.
Alright, and then we have a front end.
Woo! Said no one ever.
Wow. Can we hear it?
Yes. I gotta breathe.
No, you don't. You have the lungs. Do you?
Yeah, they're made of nebulas.
Oh, okay.
Every time he breathes, a star is born.
Wow. So don't exercise too much. Otherwise you'll overheat the entire universe.
Yeah, until we get the heat death of the universe.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Well, this dream sucks, he thought as he looked about in great disappointment. Nothing here but old food stuff he can't eat anymore. And that was when he glimpsed the vending machines across the room.
And
However.
yeah, however, just then he noticed the.
But!
Wait, no.
Alright, then we have another front end. Alright. And this is talking about the fetuses.
The feti. It's probably not feti.
Yeah, what is it? Audience, let us know in the comments down below what the plural of fetus is, because we're too lazy to look it up.
I'm
right
pretty
now.
sure it's not feti.
I don't think it's feti. Yeah, it's not like fungus, where it's fungi.
Yeah.
Yet instead of being avian, they were vaguely simian, with the consistency and coloring of something exhumed from a mass grave. And yet they weren't dead.
Yeah, I read that because I'm probably going to end up rereading that entire paragraph in my actual thoughts, and I saw that, and I was like, Mikey's going to comment on that
He's
one.
got it.
Alright. And then...
Not you using and at the beginning of your sentence.
It's how I talk!
It's how it talks. Plus it's dialogue.
Yes. Oh, how convenient for you.
Right? I know.
I hope our audience likes our little petty bickering.
I would hope so.
Because if you don't, you're on the wrong show, buddy.
No, don't tell him to leave. Idiot. You're just fighting more.
Okay.
Right, and then I feel instead of a comma, a colon would be better.
Okay.
For what? Sorry?
Unlike the previous notes, the script was sloppy, faint, and shaky. It was short, but was enough to jerk him into rigid and terrified wakefulness just before dawn. It read,
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Everything you just read wasn't me, it was a monster, it was a doppelganger.
Doppelgamer.
Doppelganger.
That's my other clone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the faker in yellow and the doppelganger.
My God.
But yeah, no, it's just yeah.
Alright, and then I feel this needs another U.
Another me?
No, another U.
Another me.
Just
one's-
ignore him. He won't stop. He's a recursive cycle. Just keep going.
Yeah, that's
So, fortunately, for you haven't seen the second room where the unspeakable, horrible thing happened to those missing people. So I was like, fortunately for you, you haven't seen...
Yeah.
This is another different comma situation. The way I had it is fortunately, comma. Oh, actually, no, wait, that's the way it is. Fortunately, comma, for you. And I corrected that to fortunately for you, comma, you haven't seen.
Yeah.
Which is, I believe, what you exactly said.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we found the same thing.
Yeah, one of them, yeah. I haven't been keeping track to see if you guys have been talking about my other ones. So we'll see.
Great. So I'll just.
I was reading things, trying to figure things out
Gotcha.
in the story.
And then this next one is kind of clunky. Reminds me a whole of the hell scene in the Event Horizon movie.
Yeah.
I read that, and I was going to make a note of it, but I don't see it. Did I put it in my notes by accident? Either way, continue.
Yeah, so it's like, reminds me a lot of the hell scene.
Yep.
The whole is what I'm stumbling over.
Oops.
And then that's it for my Grammar Inquisitions.
Cool.
Mic drop. Mic key drop. The E stands for evil.
Wow. You're hilarious.
I try to be. Gamer, what do you got?
At least you're trying. Anyways, I can't find that one that you just talked about. Could have swore I made a note of it. So, pretty early on, they're talking about the different names for the Grey Gentleman and such.
Yeah.
And the way it's commented or not commented out, I don't think it's correct, but you guys tell me. Also, who also went by names of the Grey Lurker, comma, Grimmin, or the Grey Gentleman, period?
Yep.
Shouldn't it be who also went by the names of the Grey Lurker, comma, Grimmin, comma, or the Grey Gentleman? Like a second comma.
No.
Because the way I read that is the second name is Grimmin or the Grey Gentleman.
Also,
Is an entire name.
Also, with regards to that whole sentence, it could be where he took on a modern day form and that now had a big following among coastal towns and villages of North California, Oregon, and parts of Canada, who also went by names of Grey Lurker, Grimmin, and Grey Gentleman. So those are actually the names of the towns and villages along the coast.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's just because that again, it's another reason why that sentence, that whole sentence, that 4-line sentence needs a period somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Also, does that seriously not need a comma there? Like,
No.
But
It's one of those things where, like, if you list a bunch of things, the or is it usually just at the end between the last
usually
two.
or and.
And is the same, and there's actually, I think if you put a comma in front, it's an Oxford comma.
the hell's that?
It's a specific comma before the joining, which...
Before or?
Well, before or and.
You have to do a specific type of comma.
Yeah, and people don't use it anymore, so it's actually...
What does it look like? I need to know.
It looks like a comma, but...
So I did an Oxford comma on mine. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
But it's not needed.
Yeah.
To some.
And
Because, like, at that point,
Yeah.
like, it's like a sentence, like... Yeah, because you're basically... The and or the or becomes the break between the two.
Well, for me, when I'm reading a list, I read the commas as breaks.
Yeah,
So it's a
and
very
that's
clear
fine. Like,
break.
most of
Yeah.
their breaks, like, commas are breaks for everything except for the last word.
That's annoying.
Well, that's English for you.
Yeah, that is English. Quite annoying.
Well,
But-
you could make a petition to bring back the Oxford comma.
Yeah, sure.
You're just like, fellow listeners, heed my call. Help me bring back the Oxford comma.
Yeah, said no one. I have like a petition going with just me and like the doppelganger.
The faker in yellow.
And the faker in yellow, yes.
doppelganger.
All three of us will sign that, of course. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing we have in common.
Yeah. You
In
make,
comma. And
Yeah.
yeah!
Continue.
Okay, cool. So, after telling Walsh about the cows that died in Roswell and all that, and comparing it to the deaths of all these people in the bunker, he's okay. So I'll just read the whole thing. Not quite, said Croyce quietly. Those cows all died from natural causes, and then the predators, buzzards, blowflies, ghouls, whatever, came along and chowed down. That's all. That's all. No dopehead Satanists, no half-assed alien surgeons, no Agent Smith or Men in Black, no sinister government conspiracies, just natural forces at work. Period. And then the next one-line paragraph starts, which is a quote by the same person saying, whereas those people suffered the most painful, most hideous, unnatural deaths imaginable. So a couple of things. One, how does he know that they suffered hideous, painful deaths? And second of all, shouldn't those be connected in the same paragraph? Because they're talking about the same thing.
Yes.
Technically, yeah.
It's the same. Like, because it's a new paragraph, I figured it was Walsh chiming in, but I don't think it is.
No, I think it's Croyce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there's two things. Either A, you're correct, and that guy's actually in on it, because he
Yeah.
knows things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Or B,
He's an elf.
he used magics to scry into the past and see how they died.
Or when they saw the bodies, they were in like their final like expressions were like one of horrible pain and anguish. So it's like it's right there. Because people generally die with like, unless like if they're dying in a horrible way, they generally die with that expression on their face.
Okay, but couldn't one like move, like poke the freaking eyebrows and move it after the?
You could, but I mean they're they're investigating it. They wouldn't like touch the bodies.
Oh, I don't mean them. I mean whoever did all this. Like, okay,
yeah, but
if someone dies with a horrible look on their face, once you pick them up and throw them around, wouldn't that like move their face around and it wouldn't be in?
Unless they died where they fell, like that's where they were.
Like if these hundreds of people were all here and then just went. Ugh.
Yeah, or something happened in there and just like butchered them, basically.
It didn't say anything about external wounds. Yeah, it just said they all died.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So I don't know how they died.
Yeah, of suffocation. They were in a bunker.
Weren't they exsanguinated a little bit, or?
Huh?
Weren't they exsanguinated? Like,
I don't know what that means.
Like comparing their blood.
Oh yeah, I believe so. Yeah, because it's comparing it to the
Roswell, or the cow mutilations.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta put this out right now. Yeah, you're right. Aliens and government conspiracy, that's total bull honky. When you consider that, like, there's British imperialists and like demons from hell and fairy creatures fighting off elder gods in the multi dimensions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty mundane.
But aliens, nah, that's bullshit. Sorry, just like that's where we draw the line, apparently.
Mm-hmm. That and also sleep paralysis.
Yes.
We haven't brought that up in a while. We probably should.
Well, Mark was sleeping.
He was.
Yeah.
He had a horrible dream.
You're right. I'm on your side today.
That's weird. This feels weird. I don't like this. Can we go back to how it normally is?
No.
Alright, fine. Moving on. So, the quote is, then it was back to the halls of Curtisville Middle School, and then there's a line break.
Yeah.
And then it jumps to... It wasn't until around lunch that I finally found out what really happened to Clarissa and all that. And I'm just curious why there's a line break there when it's the same person talking.
Yeah.
The first time the line break shows up is when it goes Walsh's stuff and then line break Mark.
Yeah.
And then Mark talks for a while and then line break and Mark continues talking.
Yeah.
So okay, sorry. I have a second part here. After reading what's after that, I believe the line break is there because that is a direct quote from the paper.
Yeah.
Because Mark doesn't chime in at all during that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was when I first saw it was weird because I thought it was another scene transition. Because that's exactly what the first one was.
Yeah.
Which is one of my problems with the previous one. There was no clear scene transition.
Yeah. And now there is.
The first one.
No, there is now a clean... I think even when like it goes back to Welsh again, it's... Actually, I don't think we go back to Welsh at all. Do we? Like, straight up his point of view again?
No.
Yeah, so this one actually does like have a break when they cut back to like between Mark and Welsh.
Yeah. I just didn't notice the break from Mark talking to it being a direct quote to Mark talking again until I read the whole quote.
Mm-hmm.
That was done. And then this last one's minor. Oh, by the way, Maggio?
Maggio, yeah.
By the way, Maggio is the most common Japanese way to say, quote, which, comma, and then it continues. Though there's no end quote.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just open quote, which, and then continue. So the rest of the entire story is dialogue. It's all quote.
That's the thing, like, yeah, because like that's how you do like continuation of somebody talking is you just have the first quote and then you leave it off of the end of the paragraph and then you just have another beginning quote.
Yeah. But the
That's
thing
not
is,
what's
it happens in
No,
the middle.
in this one it's yeah.
So essentially, what probably happened is during editing, he said, "Okay, between here and here, I don't want any end quotes," so he got rid of them.
Yeah.
And then, not realizing that the witch needed an end quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're saying it's the most common way to say which.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's basically an editing error. Mm-hmm. Well caught.
Thank you. I try. And that's the end.
All right. So onward to action thoughts. Oh boy. Nate Welsh didn't mind the fog, but this particular fog made him uneasy. Woo! Werewolf Cop! Yeah. Also, I really like how this story starts off with like the atmosphere it gives us, like of him going through the woods and like all the like the fog and stuff of that, and then also giving us the story regarding the far Liath or the Gray Man. Like it's a good lead-in to the overall plot that happens. Like, and there is actually a payoff for why he mentions the far Liath. And then my next one.
Actually, can I chime in from there?
Sure, go for it. I completely disagree. And
yeah, it's terrible. You're wrong. That being said, yeah, I agree. The description of all that was really awesome. But like, the one thing that whole segment made me think of is well, here, essentially this. Hang on, I'm gonna do.
Oh no!
It's just for sound. Just for sound purposes. Okay. So it's like so the quote is, dimly ahead, he could make out just the lights of the other investigative team. Towards the west, the soft murmur of the ocean, and the continuous mournful drone of the foghorns. G-O space W-E-S-T, enter. You have a job to do. You can't, you make a note to visit later. Alright? Then, G-O space A-H-E-E-A-D, enter. You approach the other investigative team and continue the plot. Like, essentially it feels like a text-based adventure, but it's like, oh, to the west is this, and ahead is the other investigative team.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
It does kind of feel like that, but at the same time, like, it is also really well described in that part.
Oh, yes. I'm not giving it negative points for it. I'm giving it positive points.
Because it felt like a video game.
Yeah.
You are the gamer in yellow.
This is a video game, though? There's not much video going on.
Point-and-click games. Yeah. Or like those like choose your own adventure things are technically a video game.
Text-based games are video? Because it's on screen.
Yeah.
I suppose. That's true.
Alright. So, my next one is, that's nothing new. We're not the only Earth in the space-time continuum. We got communist cat people living next door, as well as tentacle-haired monster clowns, and steampunk British imperialists. The only reason they haven't invaded yet is because the forces of fairy and hell keep them in line. Elves, the fairy terminology, magical multidimensional ecosystems, and horror. I freaking love this universe M. Pratt has created. Like, it's horror and whimsical modern fantasy, and I'm just so down for the setting.
Wasn't one of them communist cat people?
Yeah. Yeah, communist cat people.
Okay. Yeah. Just Khajiits?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Oh, and it's got Lovecraftian horrors from Beyond Time and Space. Sold!
Yeah, they straight up name drop.
Yeah, they name drop so much shit.
Like Lovecraft and Cthulhu.
Not just Lovecraft shit, like they name drop so much fairy lore in this. Like, again, like the Shay, and like they bring up like the fact that there's like territories between the Shay and the real world and like the normal world. And then there's just like secret world legend style thing where like there's secret societies that like keep like hell dimensions and stuff like that at bay. It's just like, oh my god, like.
Yeah, it's called the SNTF.
Yeah, you know.
That's what they do.
Okay, but
Natural Task Force.
Our shit aside, like the world that like M. Pratt has made is super fun.
Oh yeah, it is. There's a lot of things happening.
That said,
oh no,
I go on to my next quote. Kind of like those aliens in Independence Day. A pixie patrolman interrupted.
Yeah, it's Pee-Pee.
Wait, isn't this set in the 80s? Like the first couple of stories have been?
Shut up.
Or is this Independence Day came out in the mid 90s?
Does it say it's in the 80s?
Okay, it doesn't actually. So this story, the last story, which is the continuation of it, and the next story after that, which is a sequel to that, don't specifically say they're set in the 80s, but it kind of
we just felt it.
It's had that feel since the beginning of the series. So. Yeah, and also like there were mentions of like kind of 80s culture and stuff, or 80s like material in Shadow Fog and Firelight. I thought we kind of like pinned it at like being like late 80s, early 90s.
But that one isn't a direct prequel.
It is actually because
same time.
Well, after that, like remember that like that all that stuff was like basically a dream thing that somebody was the neighbor, like Mark's neighbor was having, and then. The person on the there's a person on a ladder that gets zapped by lightning. That we find out that was Constance.
Is that 100% confirmed?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, Evan Pratt, if you are hearing this and would like to confirm with us 100%, like voice from God, like kind of thing, please let us know. I'm like help us clarify that.
Well, they've been dropping culture reference like Men in Black and Agent Smith.
I'm going to get there because I think this is I'm pretty sure this is set outside the 80s because like as the story goes on, like we get like Men in Black, we get CSI. Event Horizon, those are all from like basically like 2000, like between the 80s and the 2000s.
Okay, but who said these things? Was it the narrator or a character?
Off and on the characters.
Okay.
Legitimately, like Constance mentioned CSI, and I actually looked up CSI. CSI Investigative Unit or whatever, like the first one came out in 2000.
Okay.
And then all the movies that reference like the Event Horizon and all that stuff, that all came out within the 90s.
All right, so that's what it is.
I feel like the story is probably set in the early 2000s, like maybe like the first decade of the 2000s. Which I mean was kind of like the 80s anyway. But anyways, moving on to the next one I have, and then my next quote and comment. Mom and Dad, as well as the neighbors, talked about it for several weeks. How so many people just disappeared without a trace. The numerous police interviews and statewide search that eventually turned nationwide, then worldwide, as reports came of hundreds of other witness disappearances across the globe. Wow. It would have been nice if this... Because this all sparked from, like, Constance mentioning that her family's gone missing. Or been, like, gone and some of that. So this would have been nice if this was brought up in the last story with regards to Constance and her family vanishing. I actually went back and tried to like see if I could find any like inkling about it. It is brought a lot of the stuff in the last story just mentions that like she had a really shitty like family life, and or like
just true
cult fanatics and stuff like that, or like no, particularly because her family were fanatical Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but it never mentions that like her parents vanished until like the next part of this letter. In the next story,
mention that they didn't vanish.
It just like kind of like threw me off. It's like there's a little bit of continuity issue there. Like I would have liked if there had been some inkling or mention in the last story that like showed like gave us some context or some information about like that, because like we had to read like 2 stories in order to get like the full image, the full idea there.
Oh, you don't like having to redraw an image in your head?
The thing is, it's as if the story... In this instance, it makes it feel as if the writer came up with that for this story alone and like completely negated something they mentioned, like contrasted, or basically what was contrary to something they mentioned in the last story.
Well, yeah, I get what you're saying, because like in the last story, it felt like up until her death, she was living at the trailer park or whatever with her Jehovah's
and now
Witness
suddenly
parents.
she's not been.
No, she hasn't been for years.
Yeah,
so
for a year at least.
Yeah,
because that all happened a year ago is when her family went missing. But
also the Greyman has been controlling her body for a year.
Yeah.
So
and all that we've been reading has been the Grey Man for a year. like the story we're writing, the letter Mark is reading has been actually the Grey Man recounting information about. Somehow,
is it the Grey Man or is it the ghost of the girl?
It was explained that everything Mark has read up until except for that scrap of paper that he got was actually her body, not her spirit writing.
Because they went to they had the powwow in the locker room or whatever, the maintenance closet, and after 3 of them, she was the last one to leave, and they made the deal that whoever's the last one to leave, they
has to surrender their body. Yeah. And like she straight up says, like, that wasn't my body. That wasn't me. That was who's written the story. Who's babysat you for the last couple over the year. Like it's all been like my body being puppeted by something else. Like as in, so this letter that we were reading through this entire story has all been a lie, or at least
the entire previous story and the start of this one.
Yeah. But continuing on. So this is just like something she mentions, like, okay, sorry, I tend to ramble on a bit. Moving on. You really like to dump exposition, too. That seems to be the biggest issue with this story, is it's telling us a lot of stuff, but not showing us a lot of stuff. I might have preferred, actually, if Constance's story, like Constance's investigation and her meeting the Clarissa and like all the little clique there and all that, and like dealing with the Chalmers and like summoning the Gray Man had all been its own story and not been a letter that Mark is reading. Like it kind of makes the story a little bit bland because you're reading it as a letter. And so, like,
I get what you're saying because it's almost like Mark is unnecessary in this.
He really is. Like he's been constantly
he's a narrator.
He's a narrator who's been constantly told, like, sorry for getting you into this. The only reason you're here is just to read this story so the audience can read it. Like,
and put it on creepypasta, whatever.
Yeah. Except that's not how the story's like formatted.
Yeah.
So it's just like, why is Mark reading this? So it's like I feel like, I just feel like this. Like, also, I feel like I do like the idea of like Mark of having like kind of two separate stories, kind of intermishing. Like,
it's technically three.
Yeah, well, no, Welsh's story, Constance's story, and Mark's story.
Yeah.
But I feel like Mark's story and Welsh's story, because Mark has a connection with the dream casting, basically. Like
Constance has top billing.
Yeah, legitimately. Like I feel like Constance's story could just be its own separate story. Like that could have been written and fleshed out and properly like have a
so could Welsh.
Welsh's as well, but I do like how the story does like contrast between like basically Delta Green, i.e. like the adult stuff,
yes,
and then having Little Fears stuff, Mark's like dream traveling to the bunker and like seeing all the stuff. Mm-hmm. I like that contrast, but I feel like
Nancy Drew situation,
and then the Nancy Drew things really just needs to be its own separate story.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, if you did separate these three into three stories, I don't know if Mark's could hold out by itself.
I think Mark's honestly needs to stay with Welsh's.
Yeah.
Because that, and just have Mark not be just reading a story, or reading a letter the whole time. Have him, like, be more dream, like, explorer. Because that way it also...
so it's like one of those things where it's like the cop show and then there's the psychic that they bring in.
Exactly,
and it's
yeah.
like, what do you know, kid?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or like have maybe like while he's like in dream form, like one of the people at the investigation notices him like psychically, and they're like, "What's
Who let this kid in here?"
Yeah, exactly. It's like
there's no one there. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Oh shit! It's like, we got ourselves a psychic explorer.
Get him.
Like I feel like that would be a much stronger story. Also, it would give a dream angle that is actually like meaningful. Because he's seeing, like, he's psychically exploring the world, but it's also kind of being veiled through dreams until he looks hard enough, and then like reality starts seeping in. Like he didn't know what, like he didn't see the bodies in the bunker. He saw a clean, pristine '60s bunker.
That might also be because he can only see things that are alive.
That's true. That needs
Hence
to be,
how he could see the fetuses.
Then that should be properly fleshed out in a story that is just Welsh and Mark's story.
Yeah.
I just really feel over the reading the story, I just really felt that Constance's story should have been separated from the other two stories.
Yeah.
Both of them are good. It's just not really good together.
Is there a continuation of this after?
There is another sequel. I'm not sure.
Is it a direct sequel?
I believe so.
Okay, so maybe Mark will come around to be more important in that one.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm not sure how direct it is, so...
We'll see.
I was not very fun. I've not really been down with the whole, like, transcript of Constance's story, like, I love the letter, so that was where I was going with that originally. And then the next thing. It turned... speaking of her letter... Well, it turned out they were investigating the Chalmerses also. But unlike me, instead of being really discreet about it, they started asking the triplets a lot up front. Oh, wow. Okay, that one actually might be... They started asking the triplets a lot of upfront questions.
It's just a lot upfront.
Yeah. Apparently, these fashion-savvy junior investigators have watched a lot. Wow, no. This is actually missing like little words. Like a lot of CSI crime scene investigations.
Is it saying a lot crime scene?
Yeah.
All right.
And other TV crime dramas, and thought it was all really going to be quick and easy. So I'm definitely getting some Little Fears style vibe. Like I mentioned earlier, like in my previous comment, I definitely was getting some Little Fears tabletop RPG vibes from the Mark Constance side of stories. Like Constance's investigation with the little kids and in school and stuff like that. Mark reading this and then his dream traveling ability stuff. Versus the Shadowrun Delta Green vibes I was getting from Welsh and the adult side, where like it's adult in paranormal investigations with paranormal creatures and half creatures as the investigators who are in the know of like a secret world. Legends.
The legends of
the secret
world that they're in.
Yeah.
Yes.
To me, it was a nice contrast. Like, but I think again, like I said, like I'm hammering down. Constant's story would have been better as a separate story, and just had Mark and Welsh's contrasting, like kid adult investigations be like that way. Yeah. And holy shit, that's a long paragraph. All right,
you can summarize it.
Well, okay. Basically, it is actually going back onto Mark's dream traveling. Speaking of that, so his basically just like in the story, he glimpses the vending machines, and like walks over to it, and there's like a dim yellow light cast from a ceiling fan,
the best kind of
from
light.
a ceiling lamp. That makes it like stuffed to the brim inside of the machine with like the gooey like stuff. And when he sees it, at first he thinks it's dead chicks, one of those newly hatched near fetus you might stumble across somewhere in the woods. Apparently that's his words. Floating in a dingy jar of preservatives on a shelf of a school biology lab. Another quote from the story. But then as he wandered closer and started looking harder and scrutinizing it, he was proven wrong. It was fetuses, but it wasn't bird fetuses. It was more like human or simian. And so my comment to it is, I love the use of dreaming here, like I said earlier, because it's astral projection, but in a manner where like he's either subconsciously or psychically draping the world in like the dream world. And so... or interpreting it through dream, basically. He's interpreting like, his astral projection through a dream lens. And it's not until he starts looking deeper, like looking harder at something, that like the horror of reality starts like leaking through, like starts like coming through the cracks, basically.
He's looking at it with a like a children's kind of lens over
exactly.
it.
And then the adult lens starts like, or the adult, like an adult scalpel starts cutting through the lens. To me, it's a really interesting way to show a kid encountering horror out of whimsy. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that like reveal of like what was in the vending machine.
Yeah, what was the big deal about the vending machines from the previous one?
Yeah, exactly. And now we know.
Like, why did Bear freak out?
The vending machine is kind of like I don't know what the fuck. We still don't quite know what it is, but there's a lot of grotesque
fetuses.
Exactly. Yeah. Except they're moving and twitching too, so they're like almost like ghoulish. So maybe they're actually like, and we do find out that like the Chalmers were straight up vampires. So maybe that's basically where their baby factory, like their monster baby factory.
Yeah.
And then moving to just another quote with a comment about the uncanny exposition dump. Oh, by the way, Maijo is the most common Japanese way to say witch, and Marina got a lot of Yamaba. And Marina got a lot of Yamaba from her mom's side. So it was not surprising that Marina had a lot of issues, practicing black magic being a rather minor one. Okay, jeez. And this keeps going. Like this, the whole revelation of what's going on in like that, like is just on a scrap piece of paper in sloppy written message. Did she really have time to write all of this while Mark slept, and then give it to him?
She's a ghost.
I guess. I don't know.
It could literally just be here's a blank piece of paper and just done.
Yeah.
Like it's a ghost doing it. They're not limited by like Mikey. You could write faster than us, right? Because you're not limited like we are.
Totally.
Definitely, maybe.
And like it previously, like right at the beginning of the blurb on that scrap of paper, it's that wasn't me who wrote that letter or took those photos or came to babysit you recently. That was my body, but that wasn't me. So going back to it, Constance's body, under the possession of the Grey Man, wrote a letter detailing her involvement with the Chalmers investigation and demise. Like a full year up to her death on the live wire was spent with the Grey Man walking around in her body, killing off like tons of people as well as the Chalmers. And only now, at the end, we get Spirit Constance spouting her final exposition dump in a letter form to Mark. Before she goes, and moves on to the next stage of existence. I cannot hammer enough how much I really wish this story was separated into two separate stories. Where one was not a letter.
Is your problem the fact that she showed up at the end?
And just dumped all of this stuff, which answers a lot of questions that we had from the previous story and this one, but it's done so hastily.
Well, it's because it's like this. Okay, she's a ghost, she's dead, and she's seeing all this shit happen. It's like, crap, I need to slightly manifest so I can do this. Okay, how do I do that? It's like a Dragon Ball Z situation for 5 episodes just to charge up enough to write down this in a minute.
I get
then
it.
She's like, I'm out of here.
At the end. I get that, and I can see that in a story, maybe, but at the same time, it doesn't make a lot of sense as it feels too rushed. By the end of the story.
What if at the start it said, it took me a long time to get enough power to do this, but here's what's happening?
I don't think that would do it. I don't again. I just don't. I did not. By the end, after when we finally finished from one to the other, I was just I really did not like the letter writing, the letter form of this story. I wish it had just been us going through going along with
experiencing it firsthand.
Exactly with Constance and having some tension because you could have some really great tension with her. Is she why did the Clarissa and her clique want to see her, or all that stuff. It's just the way it's done here. It's bland yet expedited.
Yeah,
it's just a summary. It doesn't have any emotional impact.
I mean, the whole thing could be done first person, even through multiple characters.
Yeah,
because it could be it shows Constance, her school life, and the Clarissa person acted weird, and then it switches over to Clarissa's point of view, and she's going through and doing things.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to Mark.
Yeah, I don't know.
GTA style.
Maybe. Yeah.
He just goes up into Cloud Simulator for a minute.
Again, the problem is, it... The way this was, the letter was written, I have no, and then, the way it switches that, all we've read up to this point was not the actual character. It was something else.
But most of it was true, though. A lot of that shit happens. It's just the creature was telling Mark all of this for reasons.
To incriminate him, maybe? But making him an accomplice?
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's
why?
the biggest question, is just why?
Also, just on another subject of why, the monster wipes out the world population of Witness. Like the Jehovah's Witness. Damn, that's going to have some ramifications both in and out of story. Yeesh. In story, that could have some, interesting, ramifications of, an entire, religious sect basically being wiped off the planet by an by some supernatural creature. And at the same time, out of the game, this out of story, author better be ready to hear some negative some negative comments about that. Because, Jehovah's Witnesses aren't great.
Speaking of negative comments, direct all of your negative comments
to the cultist. Sure. But at the same time, I know some Jehovah's Witnesses, they're not that bad. It's just, and wiping out an entire real world religious group in your story, that's kind of just that's not good. That's not going to do a lot.
Does the Grey Man have a reason to target them specifically?
I don't really think so. Aside from maybe they were. It's because they were in the story, the parents and that kingdom community were kind of imposing on the magical territories. They were basically roughing up their turf, and so they decided to put a hit on the entire religion. But
yeah,
Jesus,
it's also basically the Rapture.
Really shitty Rapture, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, exactly. Ramifications in story, people are going to start thinking that, the rapture just happened because all these people disappeared, like publicly, anyways.
Yeah.
Like privately, I mean, like Welsh and his team, like they know the truth now. They just know that, like, basically, like somebody just grabbed them all and wiped them out.
Honestly, Welsh doesn't know shit right now.
No, really, they don't. Like
Mark's the one who knows the most.
Yeah, so then Mark in the next story, Mark needs to tell all this stuff to, and Constance even says at the end of the story, if the authorities ask you any tell them everything. It's like, oh shit. Yeah.
So, is Mark and Welsh going to become buddies, and we'll have a buddy horror in a way?
I hope so. I don't know. I did actually mean to like sneak peek at the next story, but I totally forgot.
That's okay. You shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's cheating.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just like, I read that part. It's like, wow, you just wiped out an entire religion.
Yep.
And I did actually see a couple of comments in this one on the bottom of this one that were like, it's like, I'm Jehovah's Witness and I take a major offense to this. Like, we're not all crazies.
No. The story doesn't say that they're all crazies.
No, but they said that the parents are crazy, and that's really where it is. But like, I can see somebody who's of that religion kind of taking offense to this a little bit. And I also just don't really like us. Again, I really don't know why the need was to wipe out the global population and not just like that one community of nuts.
He's an evil, mean spirit of unknown origin and methodology, and
You don't know that the whole community is nuts. We just know the parents.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, call him the Kid of Black. Jeez.
What? What? What did you say?
Calling the Kettle Black.
I guess. Okay.
Anyway, well,
But yeah.
because basically you're saying, like, yeah, they're not all crazy, just this entire group. Like,
Well, no, just this small, just this like this localized area, like localized like a place. No, I don't know. Like it's yeesh.
the horse is dead.
Yeah.
It's already dead.
My actual thoughts are over. Mikey, what do you got?
what's with the picture of evil popcorn?
I was going to ask that. Damn it.
I think so. Emma Pratt has done the artwork for every single one of these pieces, these stories.
Are those feet high?
I think they might supposed to be like her representation of like the fetuses in the vending machine.
You want to see it?
No, I've seen it. Yeah, it's popcorn.
Yeah.
It's popcorn with creepy faces. It's like that terrifying like Cineplex ad or advertisement where it's like the popcorn's real. It's like we're going to the far edge to Cinema 12.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Yeah, those are terrifying. Yeah, it's just like I'm not entirely sure why they were corn with creepy faces in the story. Like, legitimately, the fog from the first story way back when would have been more suitable for this because it would have been more like appropriate to like the gray man and the gray mist and stuff like that. But yeah. It's a cool drawing. It's cool, like photo manipulation and illustration.
Oh, totally. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, its relevance to the story doesn't make sense.
Outside of maybe having like basically being kind of like a hint of like the creepy fetus things that are in the vending machine. That's about the closest I can come to something.
Yeah.
Like, there's no bodies. They're all just disembodied heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not fully defending it. I'm just like giving like a possible suggestion for why it's there. Yeah.
All right. So the ghost locker or haunted locker.
Yeah.
And the explanation is that she stayed in the locker too long and suffocated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lockers have air holes.
Yeah, they have vents.
Yeah.
So it would make much more sense to me if she was locked in there on a Friday and then stuck there over the weekend, then she dies of dehydration.
Yeah. That would work.
Or starvation, or... What would you die of first?
Thirst.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can last a couple of days, a couple more days without food than you can of water without water, depending on the temperature and climate and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What if there's juice boxes in there though, but no food?
It would be one of those scenarios where it's so close yet so far because you're in a cramped
Can't
space.
bend down to get it,
Oh yeah.
and you can't like use your feet or anything because you can't. You have no room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not that you would know. Not that you've ever been thrown into a locker,
I
right?
know.
Fucking kidding me? They're not lockers this big.
Oh.
Alright, so the next thing is really my main issue with this story. That Mark is still just a 7-year-old first grader.
Yep. Okay. But it's never. We never get that mentioned outside of like in the story.
Yeah, but previous story, and
Yeah.
if this is a direct continuation,
It
which
is.
it is.
Yeah.
You want some clarification on his age and grade?
Well,
What's the problem?
No, the issue, and I'll give you a quote here.
All right.
From the previous story.
At first, he got the uncomfortable sense that he was intruding on something of major importance, but then a sense of wonder soon took over as he noted the vintage supplies lining the concrete walls. Why is a 7-year-old interested in vintage supplies?
Why not, sir?
That's the way the character thinks. He likes old shit.
I liked weird shit when I was like 7. Like, I don't know why you're attacking this at this angle. Like,
I'm with you, Mikey, because it is weird, but
there's so many other eccentricities in this world.
And then there's the other thing when it's talking about the fetuses in jars, like a dingy jar of preservatives on the shelf of a school biology lab.
Yeah.
He's in elementary school. They don't have biology labs.
Mark isn't saying this. The narrator is saying
Yeah.
this. And the narrator is saying that Mark is looking at the vintage shit on the wall. So it's not Mark going, oh, well, that must be from 1912 where they,
He thought
just-
they were dead chicks. One of those newly hatched near fetuses you might stumble across every now and then in the woods or floating in the dingy jar of preservatives.
Yes, the
So maybe
narrator
he's-
has complete control, and the narrator can see what the character sees and see what the character's thinking. It's not Mark going, I
have
seen this in a science lab. I know I've seen this in the woods before. It's Mark that did this. Mark did that.
I'm actually halfway between you two right there.
How dare you?
Because yes, he shouldn't be in a science lab at that age and that grade. I don't think it's. I still think it's him actually like him like noting it. But I mean, I still I feel like I knew that kind of you're saying that like the kid at school wouldn't pass like an open science door, like a science class door, and not see like the cool creepy things on the shelf.
Elementary school. They didn't have science class when I attended elementary school that had the creepy stuff. That was more high school.
Maybe it's a difference between American and Canadian education.
Isn't
Maybe
that
you're
British?
pulling at straws.
Yeah.
You're pulling at strings here.
I think to jump onto Team Gamer now.
There you go. Yeah. But seriously, it keeps saying Mark did this, Mark did that.
Yeah.
There's nothing possessive in there saying that I looked at this, I noticed that. So it's a narrator.
Yeah.
So essentially, the narrator, in regards to the vintage shit on the walls, the narrator is noting that Mark notices the weirdness of the old shit on the wall compared to the newer complex. That's the length that I took it at. So he's essentially
'Cause otherwise
that
it
doesn't
makes-
match this. What's that?
Yeah, it's
You know?
in favor of having like flowery pro and like details rather than have a 7-year-old's mentality is like, ooh, shiny.
Yeah.
Or like, he might know about the bird, like a bird fetus he found in the woods because he's a 7-year-old and near a bunch of forests, so he's probably played out in the forest a couple times. Mm-hmm. But although in this town, I don't know why you would let your child in the woods.
Yeah, good point.
With things like the wandering Titanian creeper. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I think it's somewhere in between, like his perspective as well as the narrator being flourishy, or being detailed and flavory.
And my other issue, which is the same issue I had with last time, is a 7-year-old reading these notes.
And I'm going to agree with you. By the end of the story, I wish it had just been a non-letter. Yeah. Like, I wish there had not been a letter and we just had a separate story.
Could be gifted.
Well, he already has.
He might be half
the dream gift. So I mean, he can't have 2 gifts.
That's really speculative, sir.
Maybe he's Jewish. They get like 8 gifts or something, right? Specifically.
How many religious groups can we piss off?
What? That's true.
Yes.
On Hanukkah, they get like 8.
Hanukkah?
You heard me.
I did. Unfortunately.
I said that incorrectly on purpose. Because we're being silly here. 2 critical levels.
Yeah, I guess so. We're hitting critical mass.
Yep.
Alright, so
that's it.
We're done. Alright,
okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Mikey's really saying it's like, well, I'm done taking this like verbal beating.
Fuck it, I have more notes, but I'm done. Fuck you guys. So my first note was living popcorn. Damn it, you took my thunder, but that's cool.
How dare you?
Well, I mean, it's just going down the line because he stole the first front butt I had.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So but I don't.
You're fucked.
I'm at the end of the line, so I don't get to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so right at the start, the very first words are Nate Welch didn't mind the fog. So right off the bat, not a narrative.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also, woo!
Also,
Wolf
continuation of Wolf Cop Man. Yes, that's
Wolf Cop Man.
Yes. And then, the slicker part. I forgot I had a note about that. Grimacing, he pulled the hood of his slicker further over his hairy ears. Right, he's a werewolf cop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just maybe remember that because he said hairy. Mm-hmm. Then Croix muttered as he and his fellow officers led the way through the banks of fog. Ever heard of H.P. Lovecraft? No, tell me about him. I would love to know.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you had no notes on.
Oh no, trust me. I have notes in my final thoughts.
Oh, okay.
No, I spoilers for that. I was like super giddy,
fangirling,
super psyched.
Yeah. And then continuing on from that, Corus explained patiently about Lovecraft created one of the most intriguing and multi-layered mythos of comic horror literature. Then in bold, the Cthulhu mythos. So awesome, only bold font can properly display its importance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, it's not comic horror, it's cosmic horror.
I'm reading it quickly.
Sorry, I had to correct you.
How dare you audio Nazi me?
I will.
Fine.
Well, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it is kind of funny if you think about it. Yeah. Giant octopus man with three sets of eyes, bloated, fat body, shitty wings.
Does he fly ever?
No. Except for in Secret World Legends.
Yeah.
But it's not really quite him, but it's totally him. Yeah, and he wakes up, is about to ruin the earth, and then some Swedish sailor stabs him in the belly and makes him go back to sleep. That's literally what happens at the end in Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu.
Oh.
They just ram a boat into Cthulhu as he rises.
Okay, well, stab. Okay, when you said stab, I imagined he had like a little spear. It's like, eh.
No, like stabs him with the mast of the boat. He pops like a balloon and then recombinates and goes back to sleep.
That's
he
weird.
He would have destroyed the Earth had it not been for a Swedish sailor who happened to be in the area at the time.
My only weakness. Stabbing.
Boats, my one weakness. Damn it.
That's a weird weakness, especially for a sea creature.
Yeah. Actually, no, it's actually very adequate because so many sea creatures get like fucking pwned by propellers and boats and stuff like that. Like manatees, there's actually a whole like conservation like effort in Florida to help manatees who have been horribly mutilated and scarred by getting too close to the surface and being hit by propeller blades.
Oh damn!
Like like you see them like these poor little creatures have like giant scars on their backs and stuff like that from when they were hit by. Like, we're completely off the rails at this point. Sorry, continue with your.
Okay,
I started talking about Cthulhu. And,
that's a problem. It's really my fault because I brought up Cthulhu.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and like push myself out of this corner, cultist corner.
No,
Cultist corner TM. Do not steal.
Oh, of course. Yes. Anyways, moving on.
Yes.
So with the Titania creeper thing.
Yes.
So the quote is, "Never heard of him," Welsh murmured in regards to Lovecraft, swatting a wandering Titania creeper away from his face. "Bloody exotic. Wish people would stop importing these fairy pests." Also, that's not... It sounds like that's a quote, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's just the narrator saying that. So what did this guy do? And then at this point, I'm like, in regards to Titania, as in the Queen of the Fairies or the Warframe? I'm confused.
So, Titania...
I have more notes on Titania, so you can wait.
All right.
So, and also just fairies are out in the open in this world? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. So then my Titania 2 note is Croyce saying, "Don't thrash around like that. You'll only make it more mad." As the small crowd converged on him, Welsh managed to break free from the vine's embrace. So it's creeper as in a creeping vine?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking it's Tinkerbell harassing
I
him.
legitimately thought...
I have Titania 3.
I did think it was like... Before I heard the vines, I thought it was like this giant like mosquito-like creature.
Yeah, I imagine that Tinkerbell was harassing him.
Yeah.
Yes. And then...
No, it's just a creeper from Minecraft with vine appendages.
Totally. Then he would have...
Quick, get it off, it's gonna blow!
Yeah, he would have exploded, yes. And then part 3, directly after talking about the vine's embrace, not the greatest introduction into the local fauna. Croyce pulled Welsh out of grab range. Really sorry about that. I should have explained earlier. But you said it's a vine.
Yeah, I feel like...
So it's flora, not fauna.
Yeah, I really feel like it should have been flora.
Is it a fairy or a plant?
It's both.
Or a fairy that summons plants?
It's probably both.
The Titania 4, right after that, is... It's not your fault, Walsh muttered, still casting a glowering eye towards the still squirming menace. Blame the idiot who decided to plant this arboreal assassin so near a bloody footpath. So it is a plant, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I know what to envision this is, because I'm sure it's never going to be mentioned again.
No, because it's just...
And it's not.
Because it's just set dressing for the universe.
Well, I know, but like... It's one of those situations again where it's like, it tells me a thing, I envision it as something, it tells me something else, okay, it's like that, no, it's like that, no, it's like that, no, it's like that, okay, it's gone.
The first part where it just mentions the Titania creeper, like, that's on you, because, like, it does eventually say what it is. The problem is...
Tell me what it is.
It's a vine, it's an assassin vine.
It's talking about...
The problem is, though, he mentions fauna, which I believe is... It probably should have been flora, not fauna. That might have been just a hiccup in the writing.
But it's saying that it's... Like, it attacks his face and shit.
Yeah, lashes out, though.
He's, like, swatting at it.
Yeah, you can take it as a bug, but, like, later we are given a proper, like, description of it, or a proper, like, direction for its description. But yeah, like, maybe, like, explain, maybe explain in that sentence or around there, like, when he's swatting it, that he's swatting it like a vine, like, tendril or something.
Yes, that would have solved all the problems. It's the fact that it's called Titania, so I assumed it's a fairy, and then it's saying it's a plant, and it says a vine.
The thing is...
And swatting from his face. Like, there's so many provers of both sides of the argument that I had no idea what it was, and... Are you okay? Yes. I had no idea what it was.
Yeah, no. The thing is, like...
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what it was, because it has nothing to do with the story.
Except it's set dressing! No. Sorry.
It is, but it's confusing.
It's set dressing. Like, the world is, okay. Titania, yes, is the Queen of Fairies. Yes, it is Warframe because it's named after the Queen of Fairies. And yes, yes, it is. So it has something to do with fairies. Titania is also the domain of fairies of certain fairies.
Okay.
So it is a location as well as a person.
They're not in a location.
No, but it's a Titania. It is a creature from Titania.
So it's a Titanian creeper.
Well,
because it's from Titania, is what they're saying.
But Canada geese.
Yeah.
You don't call them Canadian geese.
Yeah, you don't.
Do we not?
No. Thank you, Mikey, for supporting my bullshit.
That's quite bullshit. Okay, but it doesn't tell us that. Like, I would have to do research to figure out all the specifics for where the word Titania is used to know that. Whereas this story is telling us so many things, why can't it tell us that one thing? And leave it confusing.
It says that it's imported from a place, so
Yeah.
Titania is a place.
Okay, but a red rose imported from wherever the fuck, it's still called a red rose. It's not a whatever the fuck red rose.
But a Canada geese is imported from... No.
Yeah, they're imported, yeah. Totally.
Yeah. I honestly, we're gonna have the exact same. We're gonna have the exact opposite reaction then to this because like
it's like if we take a trillium and export it somewhere. Do they call it a Canadian trillium?
what they call an Ontario trillium,
Would they?
perhaps.
I thought it's just a trillium.
I don't know.
Regardless, it's confusing and it pissed me off.
All right,
That's the long and short of
Fair
this.
enough.
So moving on.
Yes.
Then it gets onto the spot where it's talking about we're not the only Earth in this space-time continuum. There's communist cat people living next door, tentacle-haired monsters, and steampunk British imperialists and all that. And then, like, at this point, I'm like, really? I'm both intrigued and also decreeped at the same time because of all the outlandish, silly things like communist cat people. It's like creepy things are happening, but then you mention all these like silly things, and it kind of brings it down for me.
I sum it up to being whimsical horror, like weird fiction and whimsical horror, because like it has like so many weird, like cool things in this world. But there are still horrifying things. Like
I just kind of wish there were all horrific things being name dropped, because they would keep it in the creepy kind of sense.
I think the contrast helps, like make when it is horrific, and like the whimsical stuff is kind of like a nice breather from some of the horrific stuff or from some of the horror.
Okay, but it's because there's all those breathers. You start getting creeped out, and then the creep goes down. Then you creep up, creep down. There's no like it doesn't escalate. Because
but at
every
the same
time you
time,
mention something silly, it's bringing you out
if it's
of
constantly
it.
horror, like the bar is getting raised higher and higher to spook the audience. Whereas in this way, like the bar stays at a decent level where you can like get creeped out when there is actually like an atmospheric horror in this otherwise whimsical place. Yeah,
I just didn't like it.
Fair.
That part.
I have the completely different, complete opposite take on that.
Well, because like if I'm wanting to be creeped out, don't tell me about communist cat people. Because it's silly.
Anyway, so the story comes out where we had to deal with the communist cat people. Then you'll be sorry.
Well,
Yes.
I'll just befriend them.
No.
Why not?
Because we don't allow communists in this house.
Fine, I'll leave. Anyways, moving on.
Yes.
So, I don't know if this is actually grammar or not, but I'm confused about it regardless. So in the paper that Mark is reading, talking about Constance moving after the adult disappearances, common human etiquette and kindness did not apply in my old home. So why should it apply to any of that LDS lot?
Do you not know what LDS are?
No, I don't.
Latter-day Saints. The Mormons.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Or
I had no
LDS.
idea what that short form was.
That is actually a common short form for the LDS, otherwise known as Mormons.
I was not aware. That's the end of my notes.
Okay. Then we move on to final thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is gonna So we should probably get this. Like we it should go without saying, but I'm gonna bring it up. We all have very different opinions on like what we like and our tastes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So this is definitely just a personal opinion for recommendations and stuff like that. as it should be.
As all are.
And all
honestly.
are, yes. But I'm just going to go. So, all in all, I continued to get pulled in and enjoy the world of the Curtisville stories. Though it definitely has some issues in the writing, specifically with continuity between stories. For this story specifically, establishing the time period a bit more clearly would have been appreciated. My mind kept bumping up the timeline from the 80s onto the early 2000s as I read pop culture references. Because the previous ones we had the pop culture references were left to the mid 80s, and then suddenly we're not in the 80s anymore. From the previous
you can
ones.
reference whatever you want. I can talk about the Three Stooges right now.
No,
doesn't mean we're in the 20s.
No, I get that, but that means that's fine because that one's that. But they were mentioned I had a preconceived. It might also be that I had a preconceived notion of what the timeline was here, and that wasn't the case. But I wouldn't have minded an established time period setting or setup, and also with the story needed to refine some of the scenes and the pacing a bit, specifically near the end. Though it's prevalent most in the Mark Constance letter segments. Welsh's stuff is pretty solid for me, even when it was being very charitable in laying down some very deep-cut fairy lore, terminology, and in-universe facts. For me, it wasn't a bad thing. I was getting really giddy at all the references of Lovecraft and the fairy creatures, and then when we get to things that are setting-related, the wandering Titania creeper, I had the adverse effect that the gamer had, and was... because I felt it was actually brought up in a satisfying way, because to me, just matter-of-factly, addressing a creature in the setting, just feels like the world is lived in. So, I just accepted it as fact in the world. Mm-hmm. The kid section has a good base. It just needs some work. I really cannot hammer enough home. Constant story would have been done better as a separate story rather than the letter format of Mark reading it. So with that, I definitely recommend for the whimsical horror and modern fantasy vibe setting, though it could use some rounds of editing to make things more clear and pace it better. So 50% to 75% recommendation, partial recommendation. And it's really just because of some of the writing issues that we came across. Mm-hmm. And how things were a little bit of a mess in terms of plot when it came to the kids side of things. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Partial recommendation, about 75%. Mikey, East End Street.
I'm also going to go with the partial recommendation. I feel that this story would have been better as a part of the previous story to just instead of having two, clumping them together and then reading over it, making sure everything ties in.
Yeah, it feels like it could have been a stronger story if it was together as well. Mm-hmm. If we are going to keep the letter format.
Yeah. Let's see. I like Officer Welsh. I like Dream Mark to a degree because he likes vintage things.
How dare he? How dare he like vintage things?
I know, right? For 7-year-olds.
Does the narrator notice that he's looking at something weird on the wall?
Also, I'm also kind of I'm personally insulted that you think that a 7-year-old wouldn't like vintage things.
Anyway,
it's not mentioning everyone else in the story.
Whatever.
Yeah. And then what I don't like is the Constance letters and the fact that Mark is reading them as 7-year-old.
He should be able.
He should be able to.
Yeah. At least he shouldn't be able to get all the information that we're given.
Maybe she wrote it in baby language so he can understand it. It's just the narrator recites it back as more flowery.
No. I don't accept that.
I'm trying.
I know. I was trying earlier too, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, a partial recommendation, I'll go around the 66%.
Okay.
That's almost evil. Is that why you did it?
Yes.
Cool. Good to know.
Gamer.
So, set dressing, I like. Okay, with the Titania creeper. We're going to go back here one more time. Okay.
Hang on, where's that horse?
There's a horse right there. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're still little... Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So, I like set dressing.
Mm-hmm.
My entire problem is the fact that the set dressing wasn't explained to me. I like that there is a weird magical plant that attacks people that approach someone's property that it isn't attuned to or something.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. I just want to know that that's what it is from the get-go.
Okay.
Because my visual of it constantly changed from a little bug, start of Bright, the fairy that he had to beat the shit out of.
Yeah.
That's what I imagined at the start, and then it goes to Vine, and back to fairy, and back to Vine. That's my entire problem with that. I like that they're set dressing.
Okay.
Okay, moving on from that.
That's fine.
So, I kind of mentioned it earlier. So, if you're trying to do a creepy story, and you constantly add in, like, silly stuff, it is fun. It's fun to read, but it does lower the creep. So if you're going in trying to be scared, you're not going to be scared by this story. If you're going in to have a good time and have fun, you will enjoy the story. Because there's a lot of like whimsical, silly things, and there's a huge world that's being built and described all these different realities and communist cat people.
and steampunk British imperialists.
I don't give a shit about them.
Capitalist communists. Wow, that is the exact opposite. That would implode on each other. The cat people and communists. So, okay, I will defer. I will actually defer to your opinion.
If you are,
but I will defer to your opinion here for a second. I feel like this story could be easily categorized as weird fiction because weird fiction blends or mixes, matches, the weird whimsical stuff with horror to create something in between. Yeah, and that's what this story has done.
And I did enjoy the read. It's just like I need to, when I'm reading something, I need to essentially evaluate: are they trying to scare me, or are they trying to help me have a good time? Both. And I had a good time here. I wasn't really scared by anything.
Yeah, there are some horrific things. There's some creepy things that happen, but even some of the creepy stuff that is mentioned in that letter, so I had really no emotional impact to me.
Because everything is second hand, or even third hand.
Yeah.
You know, where you're not physically experiencing it yourself. And I believe I mentioned that last time.
I think honestly the best creepy moment in this story is when he's dream traveling into the bunker, and the vending machines were actually kind of a creepy revelation as to what was going on. They made
a vending machine creepy.
I know, right?
That's cool. I appreciate that. But
I'm not gonna lie. It also, I'm also privy to a Swedish illustrator named Simon Stillhag. I apologize if I've butchered that name.
I'm sure you have, but continue.
He did a series of illustrations, like he does paintings of like 80s weird like sci-fi stuff.
I think you've shown me these.
Tales from the Loop is his first book, and then he did one called Things from the Flood. And the Things from the Flood is basically, so Tales from the Loop is like all the happy and weird shit that happens, like giant robots and dinosaurs in like coming out of rifts in time and stuff like that, and popping in the modern world. Things from the Rift is like the dingy dark brother of that.
It's the DC universe.
Yeah, it's got like, and in there it has machine cancer as a topic of some of the paintings. Basically, it's objects like a radio, like a stereo radio, or like a TV and stuff like that. But there's like in the innards and stuff like that aren't circuits and whatnot. It's like horrible, pustulating, organic, bloody things.
Well, that's fun.
Like mutating and growing from the mechanical stuff. And that's kind of the imagery that popped into my head as we approached the vending machine. Because of the whole, like, again, like giant, like massive fetuses in a vending machine.
Yeah. Also, none of us mentioned the situation with all of the kids, the
club, like the
where like they all were hospitalized because they had like weird growths in their gonads.
Yeah, they were
all these
basically they were
girls,
like
which I had to look up the definition of gonads because as a male, I assumed gonads meant testicles,
yeah.
but it doesn't. It
It's
means
just private parts.
yes. I didn't know that girls had gonads as well.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Also, yeah, I did look up the name. Like I can't remember what it was called. Tumeridae or something like that. Basically, it's tumors that have teeth and hair and stuff.
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
They're basically if you have had a twin brother like at birth, but like they were absorbed when you guys were in the fetus stage, they were absorbed into you.
Yes.
So you sometimes have like extra growths that are like what's left of your brother.
So essentially, those extra growths in these kids were like the creature trying to take their body or something?
That, or they were just hexed by the Chalmers triplets, which
that was from them.
Yeah, I almost thought actually that it was like so because there's been so much fairy lore spouted in this story, like deep cut fairy mythology stuff in this. I almost thought it was basically being fairy blasted, which sounds silly, but is an actual fairy folklore thing that's said to happen when you cross a fairy. They will fire this magic at you, and you will literally start like having like like wounds and pustules and stuff like that burst, and there's like shells and hair and twine.
That sounds
and
exactly like
stones and stuff like that coming out of your head. But it's like, yeah, like honestly, I feel like I thought it was almost kind of something similar, but then when I looked at what they mentioned, it was like a medical version of that.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what the doctors counted it up to, but it's actually being like they were fairy blasted or magic blasted.
Specifically in the ovaries.
Yeah, they were hexed, basically.
That's a weird target.
Oh.
Well, you're
There's
aiming,
the horror right there.
You're aiming
horror.
center mass with the Hadouken,
Yeah.
right? But like you're aiming a little low just in case they dolphin dive.
Yeah,
I'm using terms you probably don't
I
understand.
don't.
Call of Duty terms. Because dolphin diving is when you run and hit crouch, they go, they dive.
Gotcha.
Yes, because people are jerks.
Thanks for the references.
You're welcome.
All right.
We're still a mob art.
I know we are. Yeah.
So I enjoyed it as a fun story, but it was not creepy to me.
Okay.
It's probably one of the least creepy creepypastas we've read.
But you still enjoyed it.
I still had fun because it's a whimsical, crazy, multi-fairy creature situation. And that
With
was fun
some
to me.
horror aspects.
With some horror aspects. I just wish that everything was first person so I could actually feel what the characters were feeling more. The closest we got was Welsh.
Yeah, honestly, Welsh's was the tightest of this part.
Well, the closest actually is kind of Bear from the previous, where you actually see the effects on this person, what happened to him.
Yeah.
Where Welsh is just like, I don't give a shit, werewolves aren't scared. You know? He's not scared, so why should I be scared? You know?
Fair.
But Bear, it's like, I kind of want to know more. And we did find more
and
with
now
the
we know
dream.
what he saw. What he saw. He saw the creepy-ass fetus vending machine.
Yeah, so the entire creep area is the sleep situation.
Yeah.
Probably. That's where the creepiest things were.
Which is great, because so many times dream sequences in stories do not... Well, at least the majority of people who read them are like, well, why do I care? It's a dream sequence.
Yeah.
But like, we actually have a reason to care.
Because it's not just a dream.
Yeah.
He's actually seeing it.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll be in the next one more.
Let's
I hope.
see.
Yeah. I really want it to be like the cop show situation where they bring in the kid that's a psychic.
Yeah.
What do you know, kid?
Also, so just another thing like about the story, I did notice that like I think the story came out in 2014. Like 2014, 2013.
Okay, does that matter?
No, not saying anything. Like, not just like kind of.
You stared at me.
I thought it was,
Give a pause, like I'm supposed to say.
I did think it was fairly. I thought it was more recent than that, but yeah, just a little bit of trivia.
Okay.
Cool. I might just get rid of that. But.
No, it's really cool to know.
Thanks, gamer.
You're welcome.
Anyway, continue.
I enjoyed the story. It was fun. I recommend it as long as you're not going in there to be scared.
Yeah, like if you don't, like, okay, yeah, like that's another thing. This story is like I think I even mentioned like as long as you like if you're like up for like the whimsy world that like that has been created here, that you're gonna like it. Yeah, like if you're going in expecting like a straight up like true crime horror like burlesque.
Yeah.
No, but. Sometimes creepypastas don't need to be like full on like horrific like stuff. There's different like spectrum, like different things in the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's it for this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Kiwi6, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're on iTunes, so leave us a review and rating. Let us help us spread like a virus. You can also contact us on Twitter. Mikey's at the East Ends for Evil. Gamer and Yellow is at Gamer and Yellow without the W, because Twitter hates him.
No, because they took my character.
They took your character. And I'm at Review Cultist, so you can get a hold of us there. You can also leave us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. If you'd like to help support the show, you can go to Patreon. Look up Al Dente Rigamortis and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with early access and special episodes depending on the tier you choose. And for those patrons that are helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. Seriously, sincerely, from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you.
You're the lifeblood of the show.
Yeah. And to the listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without you guys, we wouldn't have a show to talk about these stories. So, again, cannot thank you enough. Until next time, I've been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.